Hey everyone, it's Book of Katherine. Welcome to Insider Movies number 23. I remembered this time. So, I am doing a bit of a fashion tour today since we just did Boss Jewelry, and it's time. We've been doing all these great, huge, big Hollywood movies, and it's time for us to do a little bit of girl time and a little bit of guy time for those guys who are into it. And anyway, those guys who are diggers and bakers out there, you guys need some of this too, because you need to know how to be able to talk to women and understand what they're talking about and kind of be cultured on this stuff. So, and it really, honestly, high fashion, here's something that a lot of people don't know. High fashion, like when it comes to the editors of those magazines and everything, they have like neuroscience degrees, like they have engineering degrees, like the people who are editors of those magazines, they don't have degrees in fashion. Like the editor in France and things like that, they all have degrees in like engineering and sciences and stuff like that. Like they're really smart, and part of that is because of like who you know and everything like that. But you have to have the smarts to kind of like run a magazine and everything like that. So I'm saying and everything like that. I'm tired. I'm kind of like moving around because I'm in pain. So that's just the way it's gonna go. Plus, I am trying to stand up a bit taller. My doctor is like, you're looking like an old woman because you're hunched over, and I'm like, because it's my lower back. She was like, stand up, and I was like, ah! She's like, exactly, I know it hurts, but I'm going to be good. I'm going to try and stand up a bit more. So anyway, I was watching the trailer for Iris that I attached to my last Boss Jewelry video, and I'll attach the Boss How to Be Boss when you're shopping for jewelry. And when I went and watched the trailer, I was just like, she wears her jewelry. She wears her jewelry. And I was like, I should wear my jewelry more often. Like, I never really wear my jewelry. And I do, I wear it sparingly. And that's just the way I do it. And part of that is because it hurts so much. Like, it really does hurt to wear my jewelry. But I figured I'm going to try and wear a little bit more today for this video, because we are doing some fashion videos and movies. So, oh, I am so excited. So, okay, my group has seen all three of these, and they love all three of these, including the men. I'm so excited to share them with you. So the first is Iris. Already attached to the trailer. Hopefully some of you guys have already watched it. So it is a documentary about Iris Apfel. And it is good because I've talked about like Judge Judy being boss and like certain people being boss. I've given you some examples of, you know, who are boss, even though I haven't done a boss video. Like throughout space and time, I've given you examples of like who's older and like who are boss. It's hard to do because they're kind of like an inside crowd and you just kind of know them when you meet them. And Jerry Weintraub, I gave you that example from the Insider Movies at the beginning of the new year. But here is like a fashion icon who's boss, because just because you're in fashion doesn't mean you're boss at all. Like there are some models who are boss, like high fashion models who are boss, and fashion icons who are boss, and then there are some who aren't, and there's some that get booked more often than others, and there's just this whole kind of like inner world, and you kind of like, you can guess where their trajectory is going. You can guess where they're going to be, you know, years down the line, just by whether or not they are where they are on the boss scale, basically. I'm trying to be very careful about what I say here. Can you tell? Oh boy, I have a feeling this whole video I'm going to be like, tippy-toe. Ha. We will do it. We will get through it. So anyway, so with Iris, it's really great because, like I said in my last video, she is someone who's boss that actually put herself out there. Like she actually opened her mouth. It's really nice to have somebody else like go out there, but she's like, you know, she's like queen boss, you know what I mean? So, and one of the things that I want you to notice about it is that her husband is with her in this movie. And something that I need to point out to you, because that's what I do in Insider Movies, is that I point out things that you're going to miss if you're not looking for them. Like, remember how I said that when it comes to jewelry and things, that once you have all the money and or you have all the fame or you have all of it, you start realizing that you can just spend whatever. So then you start making decisions beyond that. Like, how do you make the decisions after that? And so then you start making it on special, like you start like matching it to special occasions, and you start having memories that go with it, and you purchase for special occasions, so that instead of seeing like all this massive clothing and going like, I just have a closet full of whatever, now you have a closet full of really special memories and like art pieces that have like this extra special, like, you know, it's a very different closet after you do that. So another thing that she brings out in this movie is her relationship with her husband. I so want to watch it. Like, that's one of the really neat things about Boss. Like, Bull Durham came up on the on Twitter this week, and there was a discussion about the movie Bull Durham, and I was just like, it's not a movie about baseball. Like, it is the most incredible movie ever, and it is definitely like in Hollywood, it's like the genius movie, and it's because it's got so many layers going on. And then I realized, like, oh, you know, let me put it this way: it's about who's boss and who isn't, and it's about training someone who is not even close, like not even close, to try and at least get a little bit of boss in their life. Like, that's what the whole movie is about, is like learning to be boss. And they do. They manage to be like a little boss by the end of it, and it ends up bringing them wealth and stability, and it's going to make his career very, very long. That's the point. Like, it's going to make your career long. But the two people, I said this in my tweets, I said, look, the two people who are boss, like Susan Sarandon and Kevin Costner's, oh God, Kevin Costner's so boss. Boss men are so sexy. It doesn't matter what you look like. I mean, he's handsome and everything. He was like the hot rod of in his heyday. Like, oh my gosh, he could make whatever movie, and it would just sell out because he was just like, women who just swooned over him. So I know the girls of today are just like, Kevin Costner, like, he plays dads and granddad. No, like back in the day, ladies, like, I remember all the moms just would like, and I'd be like, who is this guy? It would go right over my head. But now that I'm older, like looking at the movies and how back to back and back, I was like, right, I get it now. Because he has this strength and boss, and you really see it in Bull Durham. Like, I don't know another guy who could play that. I mean, I really don't. You have to have some of that in you in order to play that role. You have to. And so he went into that role, and I said in my tweets, I said, look, those two characters, like Kevin Costner's character and Susan Sarandon's character, they could walk into any, like, bank CEO's table who's boss. Like, not some jerk-offs, but then they're not going to be the CEO. Like, they're not going to be, like, they're going to be, like, lower down or whatever. But they could walk into any CEO's table and be invited. They could walk by it, and they'd be invited to sit down. And they would want to spend the whole night with Susan Sarandon's character, because they'd be charmed and they'd be whatever. And then she'd go and they'd be like, don't go. Because like a woman like that comes along once of 50 million years, and then the men would enjoy her. But the thing is that, you know, those two characters wouldn't want to stick around. You gotta know, because the boss, like, there's these things, there's these qualities. And I was like, if you don't know that about the movie, that those two characters and those qualities, and the thing is that the qualities that Iris Apfel and her husband have, is that the thing that those two characters have is that they're able to hear each other and connect and listen to each other. They have a sense of maturity about connecting on a personal level. Like, they have an ability to connect. And, okay, I'm going to get a little, like, R-rated or whatever, so parents, like, cover your ears or whatever. But, like, movie making doesn't, like, that's why I love Bull Durham, because movie making, gosh, I'm getting Bull Durham and it's not even on the list. But movie making doesn't do this anymore. But, like, it shows, like, making love, like, actual making love. You know, of course, it shows it before marriage, which, again, War on Love, you need to see it, how the 1% got your wealth. It has nothing to do with religion. If they hated religion so much, they wouldn't go after Sharia that has women married by the age of 8. They wouldn't love that so much. You know what I mean? They wouldn't go after it that hangs gays in the streets. Like, they love religion. It's just they hate the Christian one. And they don't hate it, you know, just go see it. So, It's all about just getting wealth. So just go see that film. So anyway, where was I? I'm going to have to remember. Anyway, so they are able to connect on this interpersonal level and see each other and love one another. Well, Iris Apfel and her husband have that ability. They would have the same exact, their boss as well. If they walked by any table, everyone in the restaurant wants to have them sit at their table. And then you can eat with them for hours. Like, that was the thing, is that no matter what table my husband and I sat at when we went on a cruise, like, we're so boss. My husband and I are so boss. We are so boss that we always shut the dining room down. We were always the last table to leave. Always. And those ballrooms have like 1,000 seats. And like the first time we went on a cruise, we've only done cruises, remember, 2 cruises. And remember, they're really cheap now. Like, they're really, really cheap. The first cruise we went, we sat with one couple, and that we still shut it down, emptied out the place. We were the last ones there. That's boss. When you can do that, man. When people want to talk to you that long, that's impressive. And then the next time we did the thing where we switched seats and we could eat with a different person or couple or table every night. Same thing happened. And I remember once a lady actually said, she was like, oh, I'm tipping the maitre d' or whatever. And we were like, huh? And she's like, well, I asked to not be sat next to some fuddy-duddies tonight. I asked to be sat next to something, you know, some firecrackers. And she's like, she's getting a good tip. She was like, boy, did she come through. And I was like, oh, honey, like, we did good. Like, we just, well, dang. She was just like, I don't want to snore tonight. I don't want to snore. And she's like, my goodness, because we shut it down again. And I love that. You got to be able to talk with people on an interpersonal level. And Iris Apfel, like, you got to value people at a certain level. Like, you got to know that it's not about the flash and trash or whatever. Because there are people on the ship, like, I remember when I was in Hawaii, there are people there that, like, inflation rates in the U.S. is just so dang poor that they come from Europe and they can buy anything. Like, they can buy anything. And they'd be like, does this look good on me? And I'd be like, oh, well, it's nice. This one looks better. And they'd be like, eh. And they just throw it in the purse. And it was like their purse was just dangling over. And it was like a bag lady. They were just scooping things off the shelves in Alaska. And I was just like, I don't want to be sat next to her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a good look, you know? And that's, you know, like, she missed out. Like, she missed out. Imagine what she could have learned from us. Imagine what she could have learned from us. Imagine what she could have learned from us if she had stopped to even talk to us. Imagine if she had, like, gotten our card or something like that and started talking. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, imagine the personal connections that you can make. And Iris and her husband do that. Iris and her husband, like, and this is what I really want to point out to you, is that, boy, like, the interviewer, like, she keeps saying to the interviewer, there are things more important in this life than fashion. And the interviewer would be like what? And, like, her husband's health is, like, poor in the background. And you could just see that, like, it's killing her. Like, you could just see it's killing her. And that they want to spend time together. Like, the clock is ticking. And I was like, get the documentary guy out. Let them spend time together. Like, let them spend time together. Like, let them just, they're tired. Like, I can see pain. I know pain because I know pain. Like, you can just tell, I can tell when my cats are in pain. I can tell exactly what's hurting. I'm just like, yep. Like, I just know pain so well. Like, I can go to a friend's house and I can just be like, did you give them your pain meds? Like, their pain meds yet? you know pain. Like, you figure it out, right? And so I can just watch that thing and be like, get out. Like, get out. They need to spend time together. And they're trying to be polite and they're trying to let the documentarian know. And it's just going right over their head. But the documentarian was just so focused on, like, get the pretty stuff. Get the pretty stuff. And you'll notice that. And now that I know, like, it's all, like, leftist people, like, the museum people are all left. And they were, that's the one thing I don't like about the film. The film is glorious and Iris is the star of it. She is compassionate. She's funny. She's hysterical. And the things, her taste is absolutely impeccable. It is, you have to see it. It is a feast. It's Thanksgiving beyond times a million for the eyes. But watching it, knowing about the DNC, knowing that philanthropy for them actually just means giving to donation, like foundations that fund the DNC, you know, and that push conservatives down. Like, I'm like, who's a rich conservative? Like, I'm starting to think the conservatives are the peasants. Like, they audit all the they don't audit liberals. They audit conservatives. Like, and it's hard to watch them now because I'm like, even at the fashion shows, are there any conservatives in the audience? Why is that? Why are there no conservatives at the fashion shows? Is that because they're not wealthy? I just, and why aren't they wealthy in America today? Like, it is interesting to me. So that's going to be a little different, I will say. It will be a little different watching from that perspective. But what I want you to notice from that perspective is notice how that is so callous. Like, they say they're like about compassion and everything. See if they're compassionate towards their treatment of her. See how attentive they are to her. Like when they're taking their clothing, her clothing, like and donating it to the museum, see how loving the museum is and how much the museum actually listens to her. You know, like if they treated me that way, I wouldn't continue giving to them. I'd be like, you're done. I would never let someone treat me that way. I would never. She's more gracious than I don't know. They must do something that I don't know about. They must share the same something. I would never let people treat me that way. So, I don't know, maybe it's just because I read Nice Girls Don't Hit the Corner Office. Something that she says, by the way, I was watching the trailer, and she said, someone said to her, darling, you'll never be pretty, but you have something better. You have a sense of style. Boy, let me tell you that back in the day, like back when she was growing up, pretty was really big. If you ever go out to Palm Springs, they are so into their weight over there. Like that, no one's overweight over there because the women were so pressured into not getting overweight over there. And let me tell you, I've been through the medical system and I have learned, holy freaking cow, I have learned, you cannot, I'm sorry, but you can't gain a pound. I've learned the hard way. You can't gain a pound. You can't gain a pound. It is every freaking thing. When they tell you, go ahead and eat and everything like that, you think of Forbes, billionaire, Boston, Cape Cod. You think George Soros, billionaire, sitting up there, chopping up hungry. You think Rothschilds. You remember who's telling you to do that. Because it just feeds the pharmaceutical. It feeds the Sacklers. Look up the Sacklers and see how they created a drug right in the 90s, right? I mean, just look it all up. Because I have learned, and I don't even qualify. Like, I just got down low enough to a weight where I now qualify for all these therapies that I didn't qualify for before. Like, I didn't get treated. And I didn't know that. I didn't know. I'm learning about how much I didn't get treated because I was overweight. Like, how many treatments I wouldn't get. I do know when I was able, like, when I thought I could have kids. When my husband and I still thought that I would be able to have kids. Like, they were just like, yeah, we don't help anyone who's over this BMI. Like they did in California, but it'd been a couple years, been like 2 years. And I was supposedly at the best hospitals in the world, you know? Well, I don't know. I've now heard like 6 hospitals are the best hospitals in the world. Maybe they all say they are the best hospitals in the world. It's still a research facility. So, you know, maybe that's why they call it. It's still that. And I was like, at a research facility, they were refusing to help us get pregnant. And I just was like, so they were like, it wouldn't matter anyway. And I was like, I thought doctors were supposed to help. Like, they are just cutting people off left and right, you guys. And when they tell you, go ahead and eat and go ahead and do this and don't exercise every day, I am learning firsthand. Like, I am learning firsthand. I am learning firsthand. Anyway, I know that's bad news and you don't want to hear it, but if you don't want my life, if you don't want my life, if you don't want my life, I hand to God, don't even gain 10. Hand to God, don't even gain 10. That's why those ladies out there in Palm Springs are living to 100. Because they didn't even gain 10. They watch even gaining 5. Anyway, so back on track over there. So yeah, it's just, they're fabulous over there. They're just these women over there, and they're fabulous. And I don't remember what I was saying. I'm off track, and I'm sure I'll kick myself when I watch this again. But they're fit as a fiddle, and they're beautiful, and they're all able to still dance and go out and have a wondrous, amazing, healthy, full fit life, more than any of their kids are. And the difference is that the food they ate growing up, like, they didn't eat any of the fast food. They didn't have it available to them. But second of all, they don't gain. Like, they make sure they never gain over 5 pounds. And I know that's impossible because the stuff they give us today. So just don't ever go over 10. I hand to God, don't do it. And if you have back problems, then you just can't. You just can't. Anyway, and exercise every day. All right, so back to Iris. So she's just boss. Gotta watch that movie. So now, second movie, 20 minutes in. Wow, this is like a secret movie. I'm like, even the Couture ladies, I don't even know if they know about this movie. I don't even know if they know about it. So I'm like, I wonder. But it's called Hearts and Crafts. Now, if you've watched my channel and you watched all the way through, you might know about this one. So, but it's actually not called Hearts and Crafts. It was actually done in French, and it's about hermes. And it's about how Hermes makes their silk scarves and makes their bags. And I think it's very important today because Chanel's moved all their factories. If you watched the Insider Movies 11, which goes through all of those money movies, you watch them and you see, oh, like, they're in China, and zoom, there goes by the Chanel factory. Which is one of the reasons George Soros had the movie, like, squelched, like, just shut it down. Like, there was way too much information in it, and they didn't want people to know why the stock market crashed, to know the Clintons had anything to do with it, and the commodities, and touch it, because, you know, we cannot allow that to happen. We need to make sure that the housing boom comes back, and it's very interesting. So anyway, wow, I keep getting off. So Hearts and Crafts. So back to Paris, back to all of that. So anyway, so if you, oh God, I better pause. Hold on. Right. So anyway, Insider Movies had, if you watch those movies, it shows it there. So anyway, Hearts and Crafts actually shows you what Hermes does, because all the people on YouTube used to complain. They don't complain anymore, if you've noticed, since I did that little video. They used to complain all the time, like, Hermes, why can't you just give me the bag I want? Like, the bag I want in this color, in this size, and this, did it. And I just was like, because it's Hermes. Like, it's Hermes. They have not caved. Like, they have not caved. They don't make things in China. Have you seen the difference between Chanel vintage and Chanel China? Like, I almost said something yesterday, or whenever I did the video for the Boss jewelry. I almost showed you, I wish that I had. Okay, if you watch Sophie Chohet, like, I haven't been able to watch her in a while because of all the political stuff I've been doing, but if you've ever seen Sophie Chohet's older videos, she used to do all these videos on, like, smart shopping and, like, how to become a more successful woman in the workforce and things like that. And she has really good things. They really do parallel with how to be in, just, there's the exact same, they go right in line with Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. Like, very, very smart, right? Except that she saves all of her money just to buy luxury, because she's under the same exact, there's some kind of culture, something got out there in the culture somehow that says that luxury items are an investment. Like, even the couture ladies will tell you, like, what? Like, the couture ladies don't hold on to their pieces, if you noticed. They don't hold on to their pieces and saying this will be an investment in the future and then I'll sell them and make money. No, they donate them and then do the tax write-off. Like, they know they're not investment pieces. They're not going to increase in value and then you sell them off. Like, if the ultra rich aren't keeping haute couture as investment pieces, that means it's not a thing. The only thing that appreciates is land. Land. Land appreciates. And for what people are actually saving and investing in luxury goods. And what's the worst part is that this trend got started, and YouTube started it and everything like that, but this trend got started right when they moved all the things over to China, like moved all of their factory goods over to China. And so, like, if you look at the vintage items from Chanel, you can see the difference. Like, if you really, really look with your eye, you can see pieces. Like, remember how I said, like, back in the day when you used to shop, like, there was a little bit of time where I was online and shopping. Like, there was just a little itty bitty time, and then it was over, where I was shopping online, right? Now, what I do get to do is I do get to shop for my friends, because you guys already know this, don't you? Like, you already figured out in Boss Jewelry, didn't you? You're just like, yeah, she does it. So one of the things that Boss do, I think I mentioned this in another video, is that you don't like share money. Like, you don't share money. Like, you earn what you keep. And so, yeah, like, I'm smothered in medical bills, but you can't just be like, here, help me out. You can't do that, because, like, you can't be like, help me out. It's a never-ending pit hole or whatever. Like, I need to work and, like, pull that out, and we work and we pull it out and everything like that, and you work out, because it makes you push yourself. Otherwise, you end up weakening yourself. It's a known rule that you, like, have to, you hit the skids and then you work your way out. That's just the way it is. Like, and if you ever give away money, like, ever, it's not a loan. It's just, you give it away and it's over and done with. Never see it again. Never speak of it again. And it rarely happens. It, like, rarely happens. So, anyway, so it's just such a rare, I think I know of 3 times or whatever that it's happened. So anyway, yeah, 3 times. And then sometimes things are done. Anyway, that's a whole different topic. So, but basically, when it comes to, like, I get to shop online, like, they want me to go online. And one of the things that one of my friends had me do was do Hermes shopping. And I would go online, and I just was like, I didn't get this whole, like, have someone go stand in line and the whole thing. Like, we skip that stuff. Like, I didn't do it for me. And I was like, are you going to have a problem for this? Are you going to have a problem with this? And I'd shop online for a little bit, and you could tell, like, you pick stuff out or whatever. But there's such a difference, like, when you're shopping online for vintage stuff between old Chanel. Like, you could just sell. So anyway, I had an eye, and they knew I had an eye, and they'd be like, I need you to be going online and doing the shopping for me. Do you know what I mean? And I'd point out to them, and I'd be like, look at this piece versus this piece. And so I would show them, like, old Chanel versus new Chanel. And, like, the new Chanel, like, looks like a piece of plastic, whatever. And so what happens is that what I was going to show you in my, what I was going to tell you about Sophie Chohet is that in her older videos, she shows you how her Chanel earrings, she has these aren't Chanel earrings. These are, people who know. So, but, like, these don't fall. These are good. These actually don't fall out. So, but these are, yeah. Anyway, so, but when you buy costume jewelry, the Chanel ones, all the pearls fall out all the time. She finally had to buy her own pearls and glue them in. And what you can do is you can bring them back, and then they'll re-glue them for you. But she has to keep bringing them back, and the rhinestones notoriously fall out. Yeah, that's not a good thing. Like, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. And that's one of the things that you notice is that, like, sometimes the cheaper stuff just stays together better than the costume jewelry they sell. nowadays for the higher end houses. You know, like that $845 piece, the freaking stone, one of the stones keeps falling out and I have to keep being like, and I hate that. I'm like, why are you the one that I paid the most for and my freaking $1.99 thing hasn't lost anything? Like, that makes me mad. That makes me mad. But at the same time, it's been a while, so I'm just kind of like, I'm used to it now. Now I expect it. But I always like that one video. I think I've told you guys about that show that Isaac Mizrahi did, where they actually had a bucket of really expensive things and really cheap things together, and they had them try it on the mannequin, and they were like, dress the mannequin in the expensive things and dress the mannequin in the cheap things. And no one ever even got it close. Like, no one ever got it close. No one got it close. No one ever dressed it right. And you'd see them digging through it, and I could never tell, but when I watched it, I was just like, I didn't expect to tell the difference. I didn't expect them to ever succeed. I was like, they're not going to succeed. They're not going to know. And they watch and they just be like, you've got to be kidding me. Because there is some stuff that's just so dang well made in the nice stores. There is some really well made stuff, and that's what you're looking for. Well made, just some beautiful things. And there is in the luxury as well. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for, because it's all made in China now, so you're looking for the one that got made in a China factory that's made freaking boss. That's still being made in China factory where things work. Because, you find stuff like I showed you that 20-year-old MAC lipstick and it's like freaking bomb. And I'm like, they don't make stuff like this anymore, right? So that's what you want to do. You want to find things like that. So anyway, Hearts and Crafts is about how Hermes still does everything by hand and uses artisans of every age. And it's not a long video. That's why I'm doing 3 today. And it's not long at all. It's very short, but it is beautiful. It is not a full-length feature, but it is, and it's hard to find. It's on Vimeo. And, but it is, and it's all in French, so you have to read it in subtitles, but it is worth it. It is worth it. And let me tell you, you will be in the in of the in crowds if you know it, because very few people know it. It's a very little known piece. And they have all the artisans. They go in and they interview the artisans. And unfortunately, they don't make people like that anymore, which is why I tell people go into trade. Screw college. It's a scam. Go into trade. You will watch this, and I'm guaranteeing you that there are people that will watch that movie and be like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do it. I want to be dyeing silk scarves, or that looks good to me. I want to be working with my hands, and I want to do that. And I want to go to France, and I want to work in the countryside, and I want to do that. I want to do that with my hands. And there are people on Etsy doing the same things. There's people building things with their hands and doing amazing things. And wouldn't it be nice if we actually had a free ecosystem of trade? Because we don't right now on Twitter. We don't have the ability to actually get our businesses out there. But I think some of that's going to change. I'm hoping for it, and we will see. So, we just have to get a new government in, basically. Like, we need to get a new government. I think we just need a new government. Not new constitution. I'm saying we have one party that's just tied in with the 1% of the corrupt. You know what I'm saying? It's just a corrupt. We have a whole, it's like a full, you know what I mean? You've seen enough of my stuff. So, and until they're out, we can finally get back to like working for ourselves again and like actually, having debates again and stuff like that and talking to each other again and actually get some things done around here and grow. Like, wouldn't that be nice to be able to like actually tweet each other and not have to worry about someone looking over our shoulder and going to jail? Wouldn't that be nice to go back to democratic society where our business can thrive? If we say, hey, I sell baby clothes, people will see it. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, that would be nice. So anyway, all right. So Hearts and Crafts is actually, is just absolutely amazing. So, and then the third movie is going to be, because I'm just blanking on it. The Secret World of Haute Couture. So we talked about it also in the Boss Jewelry, and it is just, I watched it again. Again, it's going to be, I think I talked about at the beginning of this, it's going to be different. Going to be different, knowing what we know now about the Democratic Party and that philanthropy is not actually feeding the kids or feeding the homeless at all anymore. Now we know it's just raising. Like, it shows you how cutthroat and not compassionate it is. It's like if you donate to one of their DNC causes, then they move you up the ranks. Like, that's not how it used to work. Like, that's not how it used to work. I'm just like, it's not it's cutthroat now. Like, it's just cutthroat, and it's how dictators work. That's like a communist party. It's really, so that kind of ruins it in a way. Like, now I look at it and just like, wow, this, and I think there's only one person I saw in there that I was like, huh, they seem conservative and they stick out. And I even knew the building. Like, this time it's different because this time it's different. They got out in the front and I was like, I know those steps. Like, she got out of the car and I knew where they were. Like, I knew where they were. I was like, they're there. Like, they're there. They're there. Before she even got in, like, she got up the steps and I was like, when I know it so well, like, that I know by the New York sidewalk. I was just like, so I was like, yeah, it's a beautiful landmark in New York. It's on all the old Judge Judy episodes, so they're wiping it off. I think she influenced an election with those. Too many people going on breaking the law, so can't show all that social security fraud. Oh God. Yeah, so it's just it's an amazing thing. I think if you can look past the politics of it all and focus on the actual clothing, like if you can focus on the clothing and pay attention to what they're saying, everything I said in the previous episode about the Boss jewelry, it's totally true. Like, it runs through, it's absolutely true. And the pieces, you can learn so much about the pieces. I do want to point out, though, here's some insider dirt, like Galliano. Like, Galliano said while he was drunk, he said some things in France after this was made. And it is illegal to say Jewish slurs in France. I wish that it was that way here. New York Times publishing is like Tiananmen Square today. Like, how are we any different than the Tiananmen Square? So with what we published, the propaganda lies, I just was like, we're no different. Like, we now have a state media like the Tiananmen Square. We are an embarrassment to humanity. So, but anyway, so yeah, he actually said some Jewish slurs, and he actually lost his job at Dior. They had it because in France it's illegal to do that, so he had to go to jail or whatever. And so, but I thought it was very interesting because they brought him back. Like, all the fashion magazines were like, oh, can't we forgive him? And I was like, you just sent that Paula Deen lady away for saying the N-word. Like, you made her lose all of her shows. You made her lose all of her sponsorships for something she said 25 years ago in like a deposition or something like that on an offhand remark or whatever. But this guy said it just now. He just said it just now in a bar, in a place where it was literally illegal. And like a year later, you want to give him a comeback because he's a genius? And I was like, the hypocrisy of that. And they did. They brought him back for something else. And because of that, I'm just going to say it. I want you to watch. I want you to watch him. I mean, sit my shoulders back. I want you to watch Galliano with that dress. I want you to watch him talk about that dress. I want you to see how he handles it. If you want to, go see the movie Dior and I, and you'll see how Master Craftsman handles a dress that they've worked with. Personally, I think it's the actual couturiers. They're the masters. They're the ones, but of course they're the woman. They are the woman in a liberal society. Remember, they also filibustered the vote against women's rights. Don't forget that about the DNC either. So I've always asked, there's another thing that just clicked for me. I was always like, they were like, oh, is there sexism in fashion? And I was just like, yeah, it's for women's clothing and there are no women designers. Like, even Jimmy Choo is women designers, but they had to name the brand Jimmy Choo to get it sold. And like, there's just silence on the other end. Like, I just, no one ever has anything to say. I was like, why is it all male designers? And then you watch Dior and I and you find out how like little the guy does. He's just a figurehead. It's the couturiers, and they're all women, and they're doing this genius things. They're actually creating the dress. And then they bring it out, and the guy goes tap, 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 and he kind of forms it. And I'm like, that's control of the worst kind. it's horrible to watch the dresses get manipulated that way. It's really rough to watch. It's really hard to watch. Sometimes I'm just like, I want to see what those ladies would let go and do. I want to know what they're capable of. If they were given shows, could you imagine? You should see it. But you see how he handles a dress. See how he touches his creations, how he works with the fabric. And then you go watch Galliano. And see how he talks about it. He says he doesn't want to talk about it. What do you think? So I'm going to leave on that note. I love you guys so much. And I think that is a ton of insider dirt for you. That is a huge insider movies for you fashion icons and beauty magnets and for you beauty lovers. And I am so glad that you guys are enjoying buying Boss. Like, I'm so glad. Oh, right. After you do that, after you watch him handle those dresses, I want you to go watch his collection at his new place and compare. Just compare. And ask yourself what the difference is. What's the difference between where he is now and his collections now? Same guy. What's changed? Just a question. Now moving on. I'm so glad you're enjoying Boss. Like, I'm so glad you're enjoying Boss jewelry. Like, I am so glad. I can't even tell you. And now you're learning how the wealthy get wealthy, aren't you? Like, you're like, I got some emails and they're like, so this is how you get wealthy. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that part. It is. It's how you get wealthy. Yeah, it's how people hold on to their wealth, but it's also how you create wealth. I didn't think about it that way. But yeah, you do create wealth that way too. Like, and you do it by not buying Starbucks. Can you believe that? 1992 Starbucks forms and then the wealth goes like this. Like the wealthy, like the wealthy, their 1%'s wealth was going down, and the 90%, the lower 90%, their wealth was climbing up. And then 1992 happens, which is when Starbucks and Agenda 21 is signed, and the wealth goes like this, boom. Like the bottom 90%, their wealth, like this, Clinton's get in office, Agenda 21 is signed, and Starbucks is founded. And our wealth goes bam, just like that. And the 1%'s wealth goes bam, just like that. And I was just like, wow, how much has Google had to censor? Because I know I'm not the first one to say it. I cannot be. I'm sure documentaries have been made on it. I cannot be the first one to say it. I cannot be. Like, they have had to work overtime to censor this stuff. I am sure. Oh, boy. Yeah, like, and what they've done to the other communities, dear heavens. So anyway, but hopefully we're turning it around. So anyway, enjoy these movies, enjoy your weekend, and enjoy Bull Durham if you guys want to do something other than fashion if you really need it. Bull Durham is just, if you've got somebody, enjoy making love. And if you don't got somebody, go get somebody. Learn how to be boss and go get somebody. And I have a tip for you men for you boys who don't know how to talk to a woman. If you don't know how to talk to a woman, go to a lounge. Go to a lounge, drive to Las Vegas, or just go to your nearest big city and go to a lounge, not a hooker bar, not a dancing bar or whatever. Go to a lounge where there's like older ladies, like not your age, like a real lounge, with the like red leather seats and like the mirrors and just a lounge, like a lounge where, cigars and that kind of thing, like a lounge. Go to a lounge with cocktails and that sort of thing. Get yourself a cocktail, shower, get yourself nice and clean. And like the kid in the Paul Abdul, video, just get yourself all cleaned up suit, whatever. No t-shirt, no jeans, just like as if you're going to work or something like that, but no t-shirts, you know, like a church, I don't know, like a suit. If you've got one or whatever, or button up. There you go. Button up, black pants. If you don't have those in your closet, you need them. You need button up and you need black pants and you need dress shoes. Every guy needs one of each. All right? And then you go into it because you look really good in it. You just do. Like every guy looks hot in that stuff. Like they just do. You just do. Especially like cleaned up. You know, you'll notice, like, women start glancing at you in the grocery store. And you'll be like, is she glancing at me? And the answer will be, yeah, she is. Doesn't matter what you look like. Like, as long as you're cleaned up. No guy's cleaned up today. But they still do that. You know, 30 years ago they did that. So you get yourself cleaned up. You go into a lounge. And then all you do is that you just find a woman and you just say, you know, find a way to say hello. And you've got to do it alone. You can't do it with a wingman. Like, you can go with a friend, but you got to leave them at the table and you got to say hello. And here's my tip to you. Like, the guys I have had, try this. Like, the guys that I've had, they've all broken in the wall of silence with the woman, right? They've all done it this way. But the thing is that all of them, you know how they all ended up breaking the silence? Like, the first one they ended up talking with, like, besides having a lot of drinks to finally do it, like, they all had really bad starts. They all had, like, 3 to 6 bad starts, dunking themselves or whatever, and saying things about erasers or staplers. But what you do is, and then you just leave and then you try again. But what they all end up doing is talking to an older woman, like a grandma. But the point is that, and I'm just like, yeah, you did it. Like, yeah, because it ain't your grandma. It ain't your grandma. It ain't your grandma. And there are plenty of hot guys that hang out with grandmas and spend their money. Not that you're going to do that, but I'm just saying, like, it's a lady and it ain't related to you. And you went over and you started that conversation and you did it on your own and you did not have a wingman. So I don't really care who you talk to, but it has to be, you know, lounge, someone you're not related to. Go in, do it. It's time. It's time. Start populating the earth. Start accumulating your wealth. Start getting in your pocket, not the 1%. No more slavery. No. We're not going to let their plan succeed anymore. We're going to go Gone with the Wind, right? And not to mention, like, the big thing is that, like, we freaking, like, are amazing together. Like, we are freaking amazing together. That's one of the things you learn in Iris Apfel's film. Like, they're good together. They're good together. They're good together. Like, you see the strength of, like, how powerful a couple can be. And you saw it in, like, Reagan and his wife. Like, there was a quote that used to be said, behind every great man is a great woman. Like, that's true for my husband. Like, my husband ain't the guy that he was when I first met him. You know? Like, you can bet. You can bet. You can bet. Like, women are good for men. Woo, we were good. And you will notice, like, even if men, like, are not attracted to women, like, even if they still got a woman in their lives. Because they're smart. They know women are good for them. Like, they know. They still got the wife. Like, they laugh about it. They're like, oh, I've got, like, my husband and then I got the wife. Because we're good. We are good. There's stuff that only we can provide. You got to get out there. You got to start talking. So there's something for the man as well. So there you go. Big speech. All right. I love you guys so much. And I hope you enjoyed this. I probably will not be able to do this again. So, you know, I hope we enjoyed it. But this is a vintage scarf, I guess I should say, since I'm actually wearing things. So this is a vintage scarf. I got this in, oh, isn't it beautiful? I absolutely love this. I wore it because my nurse keeps putting it out. She keeps laying it out. I think she's in love with it. She keeps laying it different ways. And I'm like, I should probably wear it. I should probably finally wear it. she keeps enjoying decorating my house with it. So I'm like, I should wear this thing. So this is just gorgeous, isn't it? And I got this in Santa Barbara at an amazing thrift shop. It's my favorite thrift shop. Not thrift shop. It's my favorite antiques shop in Santa Barbara, and it's called the Mermaid's Chest. And you'll see why it's the best freaking antique shop. I haven't found a better antique shop anywhere. Like the Mermaid's Chest in Santa Barbara. If you guys who know it, like, high five, high five, high five. It's right by the pier, like at the pier at Santa Barbara, right, boom, and then you go, and then there's a little pizza place with the little tower, and then right up that street to the right, there's just this little door open, and it is like, oh my gosh, their taste, and you can just sit in there and look, and she'll have these items, and she's just like, I've been having that forever. And it's just like, we're just sit there in awe. And she's just like, no one's ever looked at that item. And we're just like, you know, like, just like this is the second coming. And then everyone walks through her house and they're like, what in the heck? And we're just like, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. It's like a museum piece. Like, we are just like, because we go around America and we'd see them. We're like, if only we could ever have one. We could never have one. You know what I mean? And then she had one in there and we were just like, stop the presses, you know? And she just, she was so grateful to get it off her hands. Like, she was just like, here, take it. We were like, you know, we were just still silent the whole way home. Anyway, so Mermaid's Chest. But then we would sit there talking to her for hours and hours and hours and hours because she had great stories. We love her. She's amazing. We love her. But, you know, we're also, I don't know, we get along with people, as you can tell. So anyway, that's that. And then this I actually got up in Ojai, I think, no, on a different trip in this little like French store right behind the really famous pastry store, Manzaretti's or something like that, like right next door to that. So anyway, it's really, really beautiful. If you can see it, it's absolutely, do you see the intricacy on that? Oh my gosh. So it's right next to Solvang. Isn't that beautiful? Anyway, and then these are, I don't think I should talk about them, quite frankly. Yeah. So anyway, and then this jacket I am wearing because nothing fits me anymore. I've lost so much weight now that I have no clothing to fit and I cannot get to a store. So I am wearing something that I used to wear when I was a teacher in high school. That's how I'm like, I've gone digging into my high school teacher. So that's how far back I've gone. So to my days at the Limited. But I love it. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't that nice lighting? So nice. It's all like, oh, it's so wonderful. So anyway, but it's all worn out and everything like that. So anyway, there you go. So, and then the lipstick, yeah, MAC, it's that all night wear or whatever and stuff like that. So I found it laying around the other day and I tried it on at night and I forgot about it. And I woke up the next morning and my husband was like, you look amazing. And I was like, I left it on and it was impeccable. And I was like, okay, I need to wear this in a video. Like, what the heck am I doing? Like, that is one of those things. I should not buy any more makeup for the rest of my life, ladies. Like, we should dig through our closets. YouTube has ruined us, hasn't it? So anyway, and then, yeah, this was a ring that I bought at actually Macy's. I love this ring. Macy's here on the East Coast. And I am in love with it. Love with it. That has its own story. Anyway. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Go enjoy the movies about fashion and whatever. Bye. Oh, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Grab a donation down below. Get that server fund going. We are so close. I really want to do that. And thank you for joining me. You guys are the best. It's so good to have you. You keep me going every day. You make sure I get out of bed. Thank you for that.